Welcome to The Human Side of Money, a show dedicated to equipping financial advisors with the skill set required to work with emotional human beings on the emotionally charged topic of money. You'll get practical tips and insights on applying behavioral finance into your practice from conversations with fellow advisors, industry consultants, and experts in the fields of behavior, psychology, communication, and more. Each episode is designed to help you enhance client outcomes and forever change the trajectory of your advisory business. Now here's your host, Brendan Frazier.
Stacy Havener, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Brendan. I have been looking forward to this. This is going to be so much fun.
Well, you are not the only one. In fact, whenever we got it booked, I sat there and I thought to myself, why did this take so long?
I know.
But doesn't matter. Here we are.
Here we are.
Okay. So if I go to, let me start this way. Having followed you on LinkedIn and your great content on LinkedIn for a while, there's one thing about what you put out there that always comes through, and that's just like, it feels like I know you as I read your content. And then I go to, as I'm getting ready, prepping, kind of like diving into you and what you're about and trying to learn things about you to bring up that maybe not, you don't always talk about. One thing strikes me. Everything I see is in terms of like your online presence, your digital presence. You can't look at it, whether it's your site, the Havener Capital site, LinkedIn, you can't look at it without hearing about or seeing the journey of where you were to where you are now. Or it's kind of like, here's who I am. And oh, by the way, here's how I got to this point. It's very prevalent. It's there throughout pretty much any, unless I'm missing something, almost all of your online presence. And so what I'm wondering is, number one, obviously it's important because that's why it's all over the place. So can you first take us on that journey?
Absolutely.
And then I'm imagining that it's not coincidence that we see it that way pretty much everywhere. So can you take us on the journey and then explain to us why that's the case?
Yes, I would love to do that. And thank you for the kind words. My favorite thing that anyone can say to me who's a friend on LinkedIn is, I feel like I already know you. That sentence, it gets me every time. It will never lose its luster for me, because it means I'm owning my story. I'm doing the right thing.
Well, I was going to say, does it mean that much because that's what you intend to do or set out to do? Yes,
that's exactly why it means that much. And it's hard work, which I'm sure we'll talk about today. Just being able to own your story authentically is not easy. And I'll come back to that in the second part of your question here. But as far as the journey goes, I'm Stacy Havener. I'm the founder and CEO of a sales and marketing consultancy called Havener Capital. In my career, I've raised over $8 billion. That's led to $30 billion in follow-on assets for investment boutiques, startups, emerging managers, breakaways, against some incredible odds, and in one of the toughest boys clubs, Wall Street. On paper, none of that makes any sense. I am a blue-collar kid from a working-class town who got the wrong degree from the wrong school, and I'm a woman. I never saw myself in the investment world. I actually wanted to be a college professor in literature. I was a writer, a poet, a storyteller. I was also paying my way through university, and I was going to have to pay my way through grad school. I went to college locally, so my high school soccer coach and I had stayed in touch. He ran a $1 billion small cap equity boutique. This was back in the late 90s. He was launching a new fund, and he offered me a job. He sort of knew my situation. He was like, come work here. Help me launch the fund. You can save some money, and then you can go back to grad school and, go on and be a professor. I never left the industry, obviously. I helped him launch that fund. We raised $500 million in 2 years. Then I went on to raise $3 billion in 3 years for a $17 million fund, and so on and so forth. And, as this is in a world full of men who love numbers, there was a place for a girl who loved words. I did not know that I was doing anything special or different. I did not know that those things, raising money for those types of funds and those types of firms, I didn't know that that wasn't supposed to happen. It took me a few years to realize I was doing something different. It took me another 10 years to fully unpack what it was I was actually doing. And at the heart of it was storytelling. I was helping people connect with each other on a human level, because at the end of the day, people do business with people, even here in the investment world. And today I'm lucky to lead the team at Havener, where we help investment boutiques grow using our narrative-led sales and marketing system. I truly believe everyone has a story, and we're on a mission to help boutiques use that story to shape their success. And I think the part that you said about like, why do you see that so prevalent on the different sites and different pages and different things? That's in itself a journey. It wasn't always that way. But there's a really interesting phenomenon around authenticity, which is if we can't see it, we can't be it. And so one of the things that I've learned is that when we ask somebody or invite somebody to be authentic and real, and we encourage them to own their story and to tell their story, we're asking them to do something that's really vulnerable. And so if I say to you, Brendan, like, tell me your story, and like, I want, like, embrace it with authenticity and like, tell me, and then I just stop talking. That's like a lot of pressure and nerves and vulnerability. But if I say, I'll go first, like I just did, this is how I start every workshop. It's how I start. If I say, I'm going to go first because I want you to know it's okay. And if I share with vulnerability and I share with authenticity, again, people see it and they now have more comfort around doing it themselves. And this is like a really key part of authentic leadership. Because if we want our teams and our clients and our people to be authentic and we are not leading the way, it's a total mismatch. Love that you picked up on it because it's very intentional.
I have so many questions. Okay, all right. First of all, I didn't realize that major fund managers moonlighted as, or maybe it's not moonlighted, but had these side gigs as high school soccer coaches. I think that's the first thing that came to mind was, wait a minute, he what? Like those seem like two full-time jobs. You know what's funny about that? I was the reverse. So I just thought that he was a soccer coach. I'm like, I don't know, this is coach. I mean, like that's who he is. And then when I found out he had like a job, like a day job, I was like, what do you mean? You're a soccer coach. So I know it's true. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that. If we can't see it, we can't be it. Yeah. I know you just hit on that a little bit. What can you, I don't know that I fully grasp what exactly does that mean? What does that look like? What is that? I'm not sure I understand how it plays out. Okay. So with respect to authenticity, it means if we can't see someone being authentic, we can't be authentic ourselves. Okay. All right. What if I said there's this person that's just naturally authentic, like they're just comfortable in their own skin, naturally themselves. Yep. Even they need someone to be authentic first in order to truly be. At some point in their life, they saw it in someone else. Okay. All right. So they see it so they can be it. They saw it, so now they are more prone or likely to be authentic. That's right. And so for the person who seems very comfortable, like for me, I'm very comfortable to tell my story. It still makes me nervous every time. It's still not easy to talk about every time. That doesn't go away. But if you are asking somebody sort of for the first time to be authentic or share their story, especially in a professional environment, and you don't sort of break the ice for them,
You don't pave the way and show them it's okay. I'm going to share with you. It's kind of like when you're with a friend and they tell you something vulnerable or they open up to you, you're much more inclined to reciprocate that level of vulnerability. It's the same concept. But I think what happens with leaders is we forget that it's not what we say, it's what we do. So if we are telling our teams, we want you to be authentic, or if I'm telling our clients, we want you to be authentic, but we're not willing to do that, there's like a deep philosophical disconnect there.
Do you think your clients would consciously hear you say it, be authentic, and then they would look at you and go, that's funny, she's not authentic? Or does it happen more, and maybe we don't know, or does it happen more on some sort of subconscious level where it's like they don't see it that way, but like they don't see it from you, so naturally they're less inclined to embrace it?
It's such a great question. I think it's probably like many things in your field of study in behavioral science and neuroscience. I mean, so many things are happening subconsciously.
Yeah.
But I do think there is. So like when people contact me or reach out to me, it's very rarely about the billions of dollars that I've raised. Very rarely. That's not why people reach out. And I could give away on LinkedIn, and I have, here's our blueprint, here's how we do it. I can give away our best, most fantastic capital raising secrets. And those are not the best performing posts. What people reach out to me about is my story and something in it that resonates for them, right? Because when we hear people tell their story, it helps us get in touch with ours. It helps us get in touch with our own story. And it's exactly this concept. And so I remember, I don't know. I don't know if I've shared this story. I spoke at something a few years ago. It was the first time I ever spoke to a group of people in the investment industry. Okay, sold out gig.
This was the first time you'd ever spoke.
Wait, I'm going to tell you. I didn't say. So
calm down, Brendan. Calm down.
Calm
Reel
down.
it in. All right,
I'm going to get there. Okay, strategic storytelling happening here. So the first time, there was this moment I spoke to this group, a sold out group in the investment industry. It was the first time I'd ever spoke to a group of females, of women. Okay, it was all women. Okay, in this room. I have never been so nervous in my professional career as I was leading up to this conversation. I had never seen a room full of women in the investment industry, A.
Yeah.
And B, I just thought, like, I don't know, it sparked like a whole different level of imposter syndrome and anxiety for me. And I remember after, and it was amazing. It was an amazing event. And I remember afterwards, people coming up to me, visibly moved with very, very real, honest questions about how to own their story. It was like really deep and really vulnerable. And that happens for me daily in my DMs. And when people reach out, it's about my journey. That's why you see it. It's what people connect with. And that's like a human nature piece. It's not the billions.
Okay, so if I'm hearing this, I'm listening to this as I am. This is what goes through my mind. I have to imagine there's probably some people that are like thinking along the same lines where they go, all of that very much intuitively makes sense. Like we could probably all think of somebody or something that we follow, we connect with, we feel their authenticity, we feel who they are. I mean, like let's say you follow somebody on any platform of social media. Yeah. And then if you were to see them in person, you'd be like, I feel like I already know you.
100%. You feel like they're a friend.
Yeah. Or they post something about some similar struggle or thing that you've posted about, and you're like, I just wish I could talk to them, let them know I'm feeling that too. Okay. So the power of that, I think, is irrefutable. It makes sense.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering, and imagine there's other people wondering, is how does that then lead to business? So if I want to grow an advisory firm, if I want to raise billions, how do I take somebody that reaches out to you and says, hey, I also love drinking coffee while walking on the beach? Mm-hmm. Or maybe it's deeper than that. Maybe I shouldn't go that shallow.
But that's a fine example. The beach walk and talks, like that's also the thing. If someone wants to talk about a post with me, it's going to be that. I recognize you from your beach walks.
Okay, all right. So that's obviously you do that a lot. Do it well.
Yeah.
But like they come up to you after you give this presentation and they connect over something, but it's not you telling them how the blueprint for successfully raising billions of dollars. How does it go from that authentic conversation to?
Yes.
I mean, not that it's just revenue, right? Business.
Well, how
clients.
does it go there? I mean, it's a great question. So, and it ties to your field of study, which I'm, low key, not at all really massively obsessed with, which is human behavior, right? So 95% of buying decisions are subconscious. I don't need to tell you that. You can tell us that. But that's how people buy. And that's a human thing. I don't care if you're the smartest, like most intellectual, you went to every fancy school, you have every fancy degree, you have 18 CFAs, whatever, like all the things, okay? You're still a human. Your buying process still begins in your subconscious. So the fastest route, the most connected route to the subconscious is story. What the subconscious is saying is something happens in our heart. The heart is the arbiter, right? So the decision-making process is like this in my mind. The heart vets the opportunity. This seems cool. That person's cool. I'm vibing with this person. I'm picking up what they're putting down. I like them. And then they sort of tap the brain on the shoulder and say, brain, it is worth it for you, with all the things you're doing, to take some time to do the due diligence on this opportunity that I've decided seems worthwhile, worth the exploration. So to your point, the story piece, these people still, they're in this business. They probably, are, I don't want to say impressed, but they're probably like, she's legit. She's raised a ton of money. Sure. But the thing that is connecting with them is the first part, the heart part. And that's how the conversation starts, because we're connecting as people. And then but the buying process is compressed because they've been following me and listening and all of these things and all the other parts, the authority and the, I've got the receipts and all the stuff. That's kind of like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? When you really sit down and unpack it.
Well, and maybe one of the like very simplistic ways that I've heard this explained that makes sense, or at least as you're saying it, this is how it's processing in my mind. And in a very simplistic way, I acknowledge that it's a little bit more complex than this. But I forget who it was, but the way they explained it was like people, and to your point, the vast majority of people and the decisions that they make, 95%, are subconscious. And oftentimes the majority of those are driven by emotion. We like to think that they're driven by logic, right? We like to think that we're just purely logical people and human beings, but it's just not the case. And if you're trying to, let's say, I'm just going to use the word pitch, but if you're trying to pitch somebody, if you're trying to make your case, persuade, get them to become a client, but whatever it might be, that we naturally default to stats and logic and reason and the things that we think should like motivate them, right? Returns.
Yeah.
But you're taking what's like logical and you're trying to you're communicating with the wrong part of the brain.
Yes, correct.
The emotional part's making the decision. So if you're like, it's almost like you're misfiring. You're taking logic, throwing it at them. You're hitting the logical part of the brain, but that's not what's driving the decision. So to your point around why it works in this compressed cycle is you're basically bypassing that. and just going, hey, how can I connect? How can I influence and engage with the part of the brain that actually drives the decision making?
That's right. That's exactly it. You are, if, and especially in this industry, because we love all our numbers and we love our data and like we geek out on that stuff. But what we do is we aim our pitch at the person's head and we've skipped the first buyer, which is the heart. And the brain is the brain is like, dude, I'm busy. Okay. Do you know all the stuff I'm working on right now? Like, I don't have time for your shit. Okay. Can you say shit on a podcast? Don't know. Just did. Okay. Like, I don't have time for this. I don't like it's basically like, you know who my boss is? The heart. And the heart didn't tell me to look at this. So I'm out. I don't care. And so this is really tough for people in our industry to grasp because it seems so basic, but it's basic in the way that humans behave. Those are the basics we actually need to pay attention to. It is basic, but this is how buying happens. And so, you know, there's this, my business coach says this thing, which is, let me see if I can get it right. There's a difference between a convincing argument and a compelling offer.
Okay.
So a convincing argument is I present stats and data and information that convinces you that what I'm selling is better than what you have. Right? I am trying to convince your brain. And a compelling offer says, it speaks to the heart. This is so good. This is going to take you from where you are to where you want to go. That's what people buy. They don't buy convincing arguments. They're boring. I mean, come on.
If I was honest with myself, did a little self-assessment, like I'm probably making convincing arguments. I would be better off with a compelling offer. How do you go about constructing, building, or morphing it into a compelling offer?
So it's a great question. And look, you're not alone. I mean, this industry, like I said, everyone here is wicked smart. Okay. People here are really smart. Advisors are smart. Fund managers are smart. Allocators are smart. Like everybody's smart. And so what happens is we're all living up here in our minds. And the first shift is to sort of get out of that and to really just pause and force ourselves. Like, this is what I have to do with fund manager clients. I'm like, it's forcing ourselves to do the first thing first, which is connect as people. So with fund managers, if I'm in a meeting with you and you're my client and I know what you want to talk about, you're an emerging markets manager. You want to talk about what's happening. You want to talk about your portfolio. That is like your unique ability. It's your zone. You want to geek out on that.
Are you saying you're in a meeting with
my client,
your client,
fund manager, and allocator? Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Sorry. Good clarifying comment. So we're pitching. Okay. And I know my client, the fund manager, can't wait to talk about emerging markets. Like they're like the horse at the start of the race, like waiting for the gate to open. Okay. I'm the gate and I'm saying, we're going to get there, but we're not starting there. Okay.
And you've probably coached them up on this beforehand, right? Like you're going to want to do this.
Yep. You're going to wait until you get the signal. Okay. And so if you structure the meeting, especially a first meeting, in such a way that you don't talk first, which is a whole nother conversation, but you let the prospect speak first, okay? And you ask them about themselves and you ask them for their story and you get them talking. And then I would encourage the fund manager to tell their story. How did we end up sitting here? How did you end up becoming a fund manager? And now we're just talking as people. And eventually we're going to get to the work bit. Like we're going to get that gate is going to release and that fund manager is going to be able to talk about what they want to geek out on. Mm-hmm. But the really hard part for them is that that's their comfort zone. And when we're nervous, that's where we go. So it's what they love. It's what they're comfortable talking about. The other things are more challenging. So you almost have to create a structure that protects you from going into the comfort zone and into the weeds. And you can do that by just saying, I'm going to follow a different meeting cadence that forces me to connect as a person first.
Okay, so if I take what you said earlier, where in order to encourage or get somebody to be a little bit more authentic and vulnerable, it helps if they can see it first, right? And so like sometimes it's if you tell your story first, that may get them to open up and be more vulnerable. How do we take that idea, but then also in this meeting structure or framework, if we're not talking first, we want them to tell their story, but we also want to tell ours. Like, how do you think through executing that?
Okay. So it's a great question. So the behavioral stat that I'll throw out here into the mix is that a prospect thinks a meeting is a good meeting if they speak 70% of the time, right?
Which is really, really hard to do.
Which is really long.
In any conversation,
Yeah. I've never been in a meeting with a fund manager and an allocator where the prospect spoke for, an hour meeting and they spoke for 42 minutes. That's never happened in my life. Okay. So, but that's like the stat. So fine, let's just say we're going to go for 50-50. Okay. The easiest place to get some points on the board in their column of talking for 70% of the time is at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And the trick is you can't be like all quant about it. Like you can't be like, tell me your story and start looking at your watch of like just waiting for them to be done so that like you can talk, right? Right. How many minutes are we at?
Yeah.
Okay. So can't do that. So which means now you're listening to the story and you're asking some questions and they're probably not going to be super authentic. Let's just assume that that's the case.
Yeah.
But they tell you their, the story of the firm and the clients they work with, and you ask some questions and we're sort of talking and it's cool. But now it's your turn, right? And so now you are authentic and you tell your journey with some realness, right? And you share maybe some of the hard bits or the messy parts or whatever. And what happens to the prospect now in the meeting? They're like, oh, like this is wow. Okay. Now they see it. Now they might say, because remember, we're not looking at the watch going, okay, that part's done. Moving on to the next part. Now they might say, wow, I'm like, thank you for sharing that. I also, blah, 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 whatever. And all of a sudden you have a conversation happening about non-work, like work related, but not about a portfolio, right? Just about you as people. So I think your comment is really smart, but my sort of counter to it is it's not they go, you go, move on. It's they go, probably not going to be super authentic typically. You go, show them authenticity. They probably respond to it. Or it changes the sort of vibe of the meeting because you've said, this is okay.
It changes the vibe if you do it well and if you do it right, I would assume.
Yeah.
So as I think through this and think about doing it myself, I keep hitting this block or this hesitation with, not because I don't believe in it, but as I think through doing it, I'm trying to figure out how I would not awkwardly launch into my story. Right? In other words, like they tell a little bit of their story. I'm like, oh, hey, thanks for sharing. Let me tell you about me. So here's where I started.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and so I'm just wondering, how do you do
Okay,
that?
this is so real. I know what I love about this. This is like what really happens in somebody's mind when you're in a meeting. This is like
I'm
real
just taking
talk
you
right
inside
here.
my mind. Like, okay, if I was to do this,
That's
I,
right.
it would probably come off really awkward because the whole time I would be like, am I forcing this? Is it like, did they even want to hear?
You're
Is my
thinking about
story
what you're
good?
going to say. Yes,
Yeah,
I get it. Okay, so that's a great comment. This is why I encourage clients to have somebody with them in the meeting. Okay, I would
Does it matter who
encourage
it
you.
is? Like, obviously, you are an option.
Yeah, have somebody in the meeting that can sort of play a different role. So if you, okay, so like we'll go back to the fund manager. You're the fund manager. We're meeting with an allocator. Okay. And I'm with you. So my job is to run the meeting. Okay. Your job is to be your awesome, amazing self. Only job. My job is to run the meeting like I always say, like Jimmy Fallon. I'm the Jimmy Fallon of the situation. I am the moderator. Okay. I am going to make sure that the allocator, the prospect, gets their questions answered and gets time and space. I'm also going to make sure that you, the fund manager, my client, look like the rock star that you are. I am not going to kick you under the table. I'm not going to tell you afterwards. If I have something to say to you afterwards that I didn't fix in the meeting, that is my bad. I should have stopped. I should have not like stopped the meeting, but I should have fixed that in the meeting in the moment. So part of my job is to help with those transitions. I am going to speak first in the meeting so I can set the tone that it's my meeting. And then I'm going to ask the prospect to go first and, tell us your story. Tell us, like, if it's a family office, tell us about the family and sort of like how it's evolved. And okay, so I'm going to be asking them questions, and then I own that transition. I'm going to say that, thank you so much for sharing that. That was super interesting. Would it be helpful if Brendan talked about his journey in starting his firm and how we came to be sitting here today? And they're going to say yes, right? Of course.
So I'm not asking about them and their journey, and like and they say something, I'm not like saying, wait a minute, hang on, you what? That you're mainly doing that?
So
and then
you can talk, but my job is to facilitate those awkward bits.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about moving it from them to you. You can engage and talk, and like that's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if you're
not hitting a mute button and saying like, no, just sit over there. Okay, yeah.
It's more that I'm going to help those transition moments and those awkward moments. And so if you have somebody with you who can play that role, it frees you up to not have to worry about that. So that would be like option one, preference, have somebody with you in the meeting.
One other quick question on that.
Yeah.
It's a really fascinating idea, and I'm trying to like piece through how to make it work. When you do that with that option, do you, prior to a meeting, do you frame yourself and your role to let them know, like, hey, here, like, do they know? Does the allocator know? Here's who's coming. They know who you are. They know who the other person. So like they kind of know what to expect from a dynamic standpoint. Like you may not call yourself the moderator, but you frame it up in a certain way.
You are so spot on. Not only do they know, I am calling them, I am working with them, I am making sure I understand what they want to cover, specific questions, who's going to be there. I am a meeting is great because of what you do before it.
Yeah.
Not what you do in it.
Yeah. Right.
It's what you do before it.
Right.
It's the research and the prep. And my job, because I'm going to run this meeting, my job is to make sure I understand exactly where that prospect wants to go. Where does what's important to them? What do they want to uncover? What can we prepare? Who's going to be there from their side? What should I know about that? Like, are there things that person's going to want to dive? I mean, I am like, no one can see
a great
that,
meeting is a lagging indicator of a really, really good prep.
That's right. That's a great way to say it. And so, yes, they do know. So now, and the other thing that does, by the way, is it just like shakes the scaries out of the meeting, because meetings are just weird.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
That's right. Yeah.
Especially if you don't know the person. So if I like bring you into some office you've never been in to meet some person or group of people you've never met, like, we're people. That's nerve-wracking. That's awkward. Like, and then you got like a conference room table and there's chairs everywhere and you don't know, like, do you give them a business card? Does that make you look old? Like, do you want a coffee? Do you want a water? What do you have a coaster? I mean, all like just weird stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, that's just, and so if I can, that's my job, is to like knock that level down. And I can do that better if I have a relationship, in quotes, with the allocator before we walk in. Because then they feel comfortable with me. My client, or you feel comfortable with me. And so I'm basically giving all my energy, right, to this meeting. I'm giving my positive vibe, my knocking the scary out. I'm controlling not just the meeting, but I'm trying to influence the vibe of the situation in a positive way.
Okay, that's option one.
That's option one. Now,
option two,
you don't have somebody with you. So now you have to be both. So you're going to have to play both roles. That's tough.
Yeah.
You can do it. But I would say it's the prep. So you're going to prep, you're going to play both roles. Now, when you're in the meeting, you encourage them to go first. You ask questions. You try not to think about what's coming. Okay. You try to just be present with what they're saying. And then you would just say the same thing I just said as the second party. You would just say, gosh, that was like really fascinating, super interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Would it be helpful if I shared with you just my journey to get here and how I came to start my firm? And, and they're going to say yes. And so you just you need that little phrase, that little bridge.
Would it be helpful?
Yeah.
That's getting permission.
Yeah. And of course they're going to say yes, but it's a transition point.
Yeah. Well, and if they do say no, then you're actually glad that they said no, because you definitely didn't want to waste their time. If they're that adamant about it, if they're like, no, it really wouldn't be.
You're like, no, I think I got that.
Yeah, then it's like, okay, well, I'm glad I didn't waste their time telling them that, because otherwise they would have been really mad.
Well, and also not a good sign that things
and not
of
a
what's
good
to come.
sign. Right.
No.
Yeah. Which then I bet you would probably say, if that happened, you're probably not meeting with the right person. You may need to do a little bit. May need to meet better people, or do more prep beforehand. Right? Yeah.
I mean, if that happened, I would probably like that. That's never happened. But if it did, I mean, never say never. If it did, I would. So here's the other thing. Let's say that did happen, and they just said no. So I have two options here. I just freak out inside. And I'm like,
right,
what the hell? What the hell?
That's not an option. That's going to happen.
Right. Everyone just goes, the awkwardness goes way back up. And we all pretend that didn't happen and we try to recover. Right. But the meeting's going to be like weird AF after that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Or I ask a question about that. Like, why? Okay. Like, I mean, I wouldn't like be quite so blunt, but I'd probably be like, oh, interesting. Is that because you already know this story? Or like, maybe I'm like, did you guys work together before and you kind of already know everything? Or like, why is that not relevant?
Yeah. I like that. That's good.
Right?
So A, embrace the freak out. And then
B,
just...
that's one option, but I wouldn't do that, because then you're like, well, now there's an elephant in the room.
Yeah, well, I mean, embrace your internal embrace your
the
internal reaction.
Freak out, but don't do the option of just let that slide and try to recover.
No, right. Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, I like that kind of, and it also at that point, again, maybe we don't need to spend any more time on this, just due to the fact that it's never happened, right?
It reminds me of something else, because all roads lead back to rap. Of course they do.
Yeah, I knew this was going to happen at some point. Yeah.
Okay, so all roads lead back to rap. But the elephant in the room bit reminds me of something else that's really, it's very real and we should maybe talk about, which is when those elephant in the room things are happening, what do you do? Right?
When you say elephant in the room things.
Okay, so let's talk about what that. So it could be that something totally weird and awkward that just happens, left tail event has happened in the meeting. What do we do? Okay, that could be one version of an elephant in the room. It could be that there's an elephant in the room when you walk in, i.e., your performance sucks. That could happen.
Yeah.
Your co-founder walked out. I don't know. Pick any, like the firm was sold. Someone, like there was a news event, some big thing. There's something is in the room before you. It's potentially a negative thing. Okay. So what do you do? So this is where it comes back to rap. If you've watched the movie 8 Mile, then you know that Eminem, there's a classic rap battle scene in this movie where Eminem, who's the underdog, has an amazing move called Steal Their Thunder. So it's a rap battle, and the thing that rappers like to do in a battle is diss each other. So Eminem being short, white, all the things, right? The non-traditional underdog rapper that he is, instead of just letting those elephant in the room things swirl around, he owned them. So he comes out and says, I'm this, and I'm this, and I'm this. I grew up in a trailer park. I live with my mom, whatever. And guess what happens? The other guy's got no disses.
Yeah, it's not a diss if you embrace it.
What can he say?
Yeah.
So the reason I bring that up is because whatever the elephant in the room is, own it. Address it.
So like in the example of your co-founder just left.
Yeah.
Would it be like, so I bet you're wondering why the co-founder's gone, huh?
I mean, yes, you wouldn't do it first, but what we can't do
some point, okay, yeah.
is let the meeting go too long without embracing that, without owning it, right? So we could still tell us, and we'd share the stories. And then we might say, again, if I'm there, I might say, you know, before we really kind of dive into this, we'd like to just sort of address the elephant in the room, which is Brendan's co-founder, you know, left the firm and it was, you know, in the news, and we'd like to talk about that. I'm sure you're thinking about it. It's a big thing. It's a hard thing. So let's just talk about it now. And so you just sort of, if you sort of wait, fingers crossed, hope it doesn't come up. The reality is they're already thinking about it, and you're thinking about it too.
Yeah.
You're hoping every question's not that.
I'm thinking about, I was working on this piece yesterday, this article and guide that we're putting together on when you're an advisor at an advisory firm and you're switching firm, you're going somewhere else, you're going to go start your own business, let's say, to open your own firm. And you're calling your clients, you're calling the clients that you've worked with to let them know, hey, I'm making this transition. I've started my own firm. And we're just thinking through like the communication side of it, how to do it effectively, the psychology of it. Like as you're telling them, hey, I'm opening this new firm. Here's why. To me, the elephant in the room at that point is, are you going to come with me or are you going to stay where you were? Yes. Yeah. To the client. Right. I kind of see that as like you kind of want to assume that they're coming, but you don't really know. And so you're like,
that's a little different. That's got some layers.
Okay.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's actually an ask.
Okay. All right. So layers. Yeah.
That has layers. It's the elephant in the room. It is the elephant in the room. Let's see. How am I differentiating that? It is the elephant in the room.
But it's also the reason that you're called the ask. But I guess I'm coming at it from the standpoint of, instead of like avoiding it or being awkward about it,
okay,
you can still embrace it and think through it and go, so I imagine you're probably sitting there wondering, or maybe even thinking, like, what should I do? Should I
or why?
stay?
So what's the real elephant in the room there, though? The real elephant to me is, why are you leaving?
Yeah.
Okay. The ask is, do you want to come with me? Which there's a whole bunch of legal blah-de-blah around that. But the elephant in the room in that situation. So it's like the awkward question that they kind of want to ask, but they don't want to ask you. That's the elephant in the room we're looking for. So it's from their perspective.
Right. Know that that's going to be an elephant in the room, and that they're probably going to be wondering whether they ask or not. So in that example, I could
talk about why.
Get ahead of it.
Get ahead of it. Like, you
would it be helpful if I explained why this came about?
Making this decision. Yes.
Yeah.
And then you're sort of telling your story again with authenticity. You're kind of inviting them on the journey with you if they so choose. And you probably will ask at some point, but you're sort of addressing the thing that no one they're not sure if they can ask you. You're not sure that you really want to like point to it. Like that bit. So I think you're right. You definitely would address it, but you'd maybe start with like, why is this happening?
Yeah, great point. I like that a lot. By the way, I don't. I oftentimes feel bad when I put people on the spot with situations like in these conversations. But since you did it to me when I was on your podcast a while back, I thought, you know what? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Quid
You
pro
asked
quo,
for
baby.
it, you're
That's
getting it
how
right
we
back.
roll.
Okay, so we had option one, which is somebody else in the meeting. Option two is you own it yourself, and you have to play both roles. But when it comes to, because I maybe I'm going this path because I'm also a huge, massive proponent of pre-meeting prep, and that determines the quality and the outcome of the meeting. We don't always think about that, but so for somebody that says, all right, I want to get better at prepping to have a great meeting. It may take a while. You may not be able to just run through every single thing possible. Like, what are some of the main things you do or you recommend people do to get as prepped as possible, both yourself and the other person, to have a great meeting?
Okay, here I'll give you two really big things. The first is call somebody. Okay? Like, I know half of us don't even use our phones as phones anymore. I get it. Okay? I'm asking you to let go of that. I want you to pick up the telephone and call someone. The person you're meeting with. The one person, your person, the champion, that is the primary person, I want you to call them. Okay? Don't want you to email them and say, what do you want to talk about in the meeting? I want you to call them and say, looking forward to seeing you, in a couple weeks, doing some prep. Would love to ask you a few questions about, so that, we can be ready, whatever. Okay, call me back. And I'm like, don't accept no for an answer here. Keep calling until you get them.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask if they don't answer, can I then send an email? But
you can send an email and say, hey, call me. I want to talk to you about the meeting, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If they are going to take the time to meet with you, they should be willing to tell you how to make the meeting great for them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Right? It's like, hey, the point of this is to make sure that we make the best use of your time. Like, for all of us.
What do you want? And, and tell me, you can even have fun with it. Like, I'm going to make sure, sorry, I keep turning you into the fund manager, but I'm going to make sure Brendan doesn't walk us through a 45-page slide deck. So call me and tell me what we're going to talk about. Right? Like, again, that's the elephant in the room they don't want.
Yeah,
right? So you're inviting them like, hey, we're cool. You can tell me. Like, it's just you and me. Tell me what you want to talk about. I'll make sure we're ready. Great. So that is like the biggest thing that you can do.
And so I'm the fund manager.
Yep.
Let's say I'm going to call, and I call you.
Okay, I'm not going to be with you.
Right. You're not with me.
I have so many questions about why, but okay.
Okay. Well, okay. All right. Never mind. So I guess just from the standpoint that I'm wondering how many people listening go, oh, I have someone that can do. All right. Let's do that. If that's the best way. So you're calling the allocator.
Yep.
To tee this up. You get them on the phone. What are the main things that you're wanting to set the table with or ask? Are you asking like what's on your mind? What do you want to make sure?
What do you want to cover? We're we're coming in. What do you want to cover? What are the most important three? Give me the three most important things you want to cover. Okay. Who else is going to be there?
Oh, right.
Who else is going to be there? What are their where are they in the process? Do they know, do they kind of know where we're at? Should we go back to the beginning for them? Do they have certain hot buttons that they're going to want to unpack? Again, because my job is to make everybody look great. So if I can make that allocator, my person, look great in front of their boss, heck yeah, I'm going to do that. So it's like, hey, tell me so I can make sure we're I'm trying to make this meeting great for everybody, and I'm giving you a chance to help me design the best freaking meeting we can possibly design here.
What, who, and where? What do you want to talk about? Who's going to be there, and where are you in the process?
Yes, okay. Where and probably the other W's too. I might specifically ask, okay, do we want to, because look, I know what the challenges are going to be. If I know there's a tough performance period, I might say, do you want to spend some time on that? Do you want us to be ready to talk about that? Right.
And I also like that too, just as an outside observer from the standpoint of bringing that up, pointing it out, calling it out, also just sort of tells, if I'm on the other end of that conversation, tells me that you're in tune, that you get what's going on. It kind of establishes you as, maybe I already see you as an expert or an authority of some sort, but you acknowledging it and bringing it up is okay, she knows.
She gets it.
Yeah.
She's not trying to I'm not pulling a fast one. So that one thing, okay, that phone call, that conversation is so super key. And then if it's us, we're the dynamic duo that's coming in together, then, and by the way, I guess even if it was just you, I would recommend you do this. Then I would take, we have this template we use, that's a meeting prep document. Every fund manager, every client we have gets this document before a meeting, and it breaks it all down. Who's there? What's the goal of this meeting? Because very rarely is it to close a deal. Right?
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Yep. What's the goal of this meeting? What are we going to cover? And what are the sort of challenges we should be prepared for? And it will give sort of the backdrop of the deal. Is there money in motion? Do I know who else they're using? Are we complementing something? If they're replacing a manager, why? What didn't they like about what they have now, etc. I'm going to put as much intel as I can, and then I'm going to make sure you read it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which sounds obvious, but clearly it comes up for a reason. Yeah.
I am going to print that bad boy, and I'm going to hand it to you. When we're driving over to the meeting, I'm driving you. I'm going to hand it to you in the front seat and say, read this document while I sit here, watch you. Ask me questions. Okay? So I'm going to make sure you read it. Now, what ends up happening, by the way, and there's probably a behavioral thing that you can tell us, what ends up happening is over time, you are going to love that document. You are going to rely on that document. You are going to be salivating for that document. You're going to be hitting me up where's my meeting prep? Because I'm going to get on a plane tomorrow. I'd like to review it on the plane. One client was can you put pictures of the people so I can see them? People get super into it. Yeah. So it's also training the client, training you that I'm going to make sure we're ready.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's when we say it out loud, it's you hear this and you're yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of so you played soccer, I played baseball. Mm-hmm. It's okay, you could go into this game facing this pitcher And you have two choices. You could walk up to the plate not knowing anything about him.
Ooh,
like, what does he
example.
get? What does he bring? What does he throw? When does he throw this pitch? When does he throw that pitch?
Ooh.
What's your weakness? And is he going to exploit that? Or you could have a prep doc.
Yeah,
plan. It's like, hey, know that here's the pitch. Here's how it shapes. Here's where he likes to throw it in certain situations.
Ooh, I love this,
right?
Brendan.
And so it's like which would you rather have? Would you rather have a little information and insight into what you're doing and how it's going to go potentially, but always be on your feet? Or would you rather just go in flying blind?
Great example. And like, my dynamic duo comment is like intentional. That's an intentional phrase, because over time, you do sort of become like, if it's just always you and me and we're going into these meetings, we are going to have that shit down. We are going to be like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, hey, let's just hop in the car, get there. We know how this goes.
We know
let's
exactly. I know where you're going to forget to say something that I love when you say this thing. And I'm going to remind you. Like, you start to, the dance, and you really do start to become a team in those meetings. And I think one of the challenges in our industry is to really view it that way. To view the meeting as that the two of you are a team, as opposed to I'm here carrying your bag and you're the star because you're the fund manager and I'm the person who set up this meeting and I should just sit down. There is a lot of that vibe.
That's interesting to me. That surprises me.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Not a good vibe.
No. Yeah. Talk about a vibe not to go in with.
Not a good vibe. And also, like, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because my job's to make you look great. I'm on your side.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if I guess I'm going to use the word demean or like,
yes.
or make it appear as though you're anything less than awesome and equal and just as capable, then
That's
anything
right.
you do or say is then less potent and valuable from that point forward.
You're a dynamic duo and you're going into this meeting as a team. And that's super important to the dynamic.
So any keys to, it sounds like doing it over and over again together creates that. Anything to like, do you do anything prior to like make sure you're aligned in that way? Any keys to getting established on that and on that wavelength? I'm doing a workshop with a group. I'm not going to swear when I do the workshop. I'm doing a workshop with a group in London. Maybe you should.
I should.
Be your authentic self.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Thanks for the reminder. I'm doing a workshop in London in a couple of weeks, and it's with 20 people of all different roles. Okay. So from everyone from like the investment partners to the clients or like junior client service people. Okay. Anyone who would interact with a client, basically.
Okay.
And this is one of the things I really want to establish, which is everybody has a role in the process, and we need to sort of own that role, own our unique ability in the client experience, in the prospect experience, and respect each other's role.
Right. And I imagine most people would agree with that.
Yes,
on the surface, right? Like, yes. 100%. Let's do it. I think we probably already do that, but let's do it anyway.
And then let's also talk about what that looks like, right? In practice. Because I bet for you, as somebody who lives in theories, there is the theory, there's the sort of behavioral science of something, and then there's how that shows up in practice.
Yeah, it was the whole genesis of this podcast was like, we don't want to operate in theories. Let's talk about like how to bridge the gap between theory and practice.
And that's not easy, right?
No.
Because you can know what something is and you can nod in agreement.
Yeah.
But doing it is different.
Right. Yeah, in pretty much all areas of life, we generally know what to do. It's just the actual execution
that's the hardest part, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it takes time, it takes practice. You build confidence, I think, by doing it.
Yeah, sure, right.
Yeah,
and I would imagine you have some people where you just naturally vibe a little bit better than others because we're humans.
That's right. That's right. And some meetings are going to not be great. And there's nothing you can do about that. Right? You're not going to vibe with a prospect. And here's the thing. If you don't vibe, it's not that, that's okay. Not every meeting's going to be a great meeting. Not every prospect's going to be like your ideal client. We have to be okay with those parts too.
Yeah. Just accept it going in. It's like recognize it and embrace it going in.
We can only control what we can control.
We talked about in this meeting, this conversation, getting the person to talk more, have them tell you their story. You tell your story. Your story, Stacy Havener's story, is on the website. Mm-hmm. I believe you call it a backstory, right, if I'm thinking about that right. So now I'm sitting here going, okay, let's say that I'm with you or I'm by myself and I've teed it up. Somebody said, hey, would it be helpful if I shared a little bit about me and how I got here?
Yeah. You cringed when you said that, by the way.
Would it be helpful? Because I didn't like how I was nervous.
Because it's hard for you.
Yeah, I do this thing where I overthink word choice and how it's worded. Okay, go ahead. Because you said to me, that's your hardest thing in a meeting. And I literally physically saw it. That's okay. Then I 100% believe that because that would be, I just generally don't like talking about myself or sharing about.
I saw it right there. So this is good. Keep going. I want you to do that whole bit again because you need to practice this. If you're in a meeting by yourself and you've said, tell me your story. And now you need to bridge it to, would it be helpful?
Yeah. So I was true. Like you go inside my head there. So you saw the cringe. What was going on inside my head was, how do I word this in a way that's actually like enticing to the person that I'm saying it to? Like,
all right, try again.
Would it be helpful if, hang on, let me try to know, I guess.
Yeah. No, this is good. Everybody, this is like real life right here. This is live coaching happening right now.
Okay. Would it be helpful if I shared a little bit about how I got to this point?
Double thumbs.
But is there a better way to say it though? Like, would it be helpful if I shared a little bit about my journey and why I'm even here today?
Yes.
Would it be helpful if you knew why in the world I'm deciding to spend my time in this office at this moment?
Keep that. You're smiling. You're saying it. It sounds natural. This is a breakthrough right here.
Yeah. It took me about 4 iterations, maybe 5 if we go back and count it to get there. But okay.
Yeah, very good.
Okay, so okay, I'm really glad you pointed that out because it does show that it's not just like what you say, but it's partially like how you say it. I think it also tells us that you can't just expect to walk in and deliver and construct this great story that like moves people and shows who you are and gets them to go, oh my gosh,
where have you been all my life?
It hits. Yeah, right. Yeah. And I would imagine that you've probably, if I was guessing, seen some rough versions. And in fact, one of the things that I've for a long time wanted to talk about on this show in more depth is storytelling is like a communication superpower. Right? I mean, it's like for a lot of reasons. So what if we think through, can you help us think through maybe like what should we do? How to craft a good story? Like
let's stay in our hypothetical meeting. So let's say, so you've done a fantastic bridge right there, by the way. So good job, you. So you've now bridged it. So now they say, yes, that would be great. And now it's sort of like all the spotlights just flicked onto you. The mic isn't, it's like, that's a high pressure moment. So so I'm going to first say what not to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And hopefully this is freeing. The backstories, the story of any kind that doesn't work well is the one you try to memorize.
Okay. And again, people in this industry are so smart. We also live in a culture of compliance. We get very into this idea that we need a script. It needs to be memorized. Like we just get really bogged down in that. Okay. But what happens when we memorize things is, weirdly, it's easier to forget them.
Okay? Because because we have a sequence of words in a very specific order that we're trying to keep straight. And when you see people freeze on stage, usually what has happened is they've got it in a pattern and they've missed a word and the whole rest of it just fell off a cliff. They can't get it back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So know this. You already know your story because you lived it. Okay? And you already are an expert in the thing that you do because it's what you do. You don't need to memorize anything. I know why we feel that way. There's probably a human behavior thing behind this, but like I know why we feel like we need to memorize it. But trying to memorize it will actually make it not good.
Is there a difference between memorizing and let's call it scripting or rehearsing?
Yeah, rehearsing and memorizing are two very different things. So great nuance again. So basically, you definitely can rehearse. That's good, right? You definitely want to say like, what are the 3 things I want to hit in this talk or in this story or whatever? Like you want to give yourself some highlights or some things. But you don't want to try to remember. You don't want to try to memorize how it's going to be told. You want to memorize what you want to hit on. I'm going to hit on these 3 things. But then you just want to talk. And you won't freeze. You won't screw it up. You won't, because there's no sequence that's going to get botched. Now, so I'm a big fan of like the 3 things because the human brain loves 3s. It operates really well with 3s. So don't do more than 3. Okay. And when you're telling a backstory, what you can memorize, the 2 things that people remember the most are the beginning and the end.
Okay.
Okay. So if you want to memorize something, memorize the first sentence, right? Memorize the last sentence and memorize. I'm even saying that kind of loosely, but if you feel like you really need to memorize something, because some people really do want that, then memorize that.
I think about when you say that, by the way, I think it makes me think too, like whenever I'm prepping and getting ready to speak or for a presentation of some sort, I spend let's say it's one that I do every now and then, but not all the time. And it's coming back up. So like I've got one in 2 weeks and I haven't done it in about 3 months. And like I'll spend an inordinate amount, or let's call it a disproportionate amount of time on like the very beginning of the presentation, not memorizing it, but going, okay, what are the key themes, the key points what's the story that I tell at the beginning? How do I then transition that to the point? Like so it's not script, it's not memorized, right?
That's
but I go back and I'll rehearse like the first 5 to 10 minutes, probably 3 to 5 times more than I do the rest of it. Because I know it's how you get people to buy in, but also it gets me in the right flow. Like if I can get through those first few minutes, it like unlocks the rest of but if I stumble through that first window of time, then it and I don't know if maybe this is just me, but it sort of like derails the whole trajectory of the presentation.
It's hard to get it back.
Right.
So you want to make that beginning process as easy as possible because you're in a high stress moment on a stage with a prospect, whatever. You're out of your comfort zone. So how can we make this as easy as possible? Memorizing is not easy. It feels like it should be, but it's actually not. So if we really want to have a powerful beginning and a powerful ending, in our scenario where you've now bridged to tell you my story, the other thing that doesn't work well is when we go to back to the beginning of time and basically read our resume. Okay, like super boring.
Yeah.
Okay, super fail is what that is. Okay, so like don't do that. All right. So I'm going to give you another way into the story.
Yeah, I was going to say people remember the beginning and the end. How can we nail the beginning?
Yeah, how can we nail the beginning or the end? So I'll give you 2 kind of options that you could use for the beginning. You could start at the end and work backwards. So like in my backstory, I start at the end. I say, here I am. I'm a founder. I've raised a lot of money. and I'm in this like tough industry and it's mostly dudes, it's mostly guys, and I'm a female, and none of that makes any sense. Right? So I start with the ending and I tee up this sort of like moment of, wait, what? None of it makes any sense. Let me go back. Right?
Yeah. And because when you do that, because I heard before you did it on here, I heard it before.
Yeah.
And because you do such a good job selling it.
Yeah.
And it makes you go, wow, that's cool. That's inspiring. How did she do that?
Yeah.
Right? You sort of tee it up to where my brain's already primed and ready going, yeah, I do. I want to hear your journey to get to this point.
If it doesn't make sense, you got to explain it. Right?
Right.
Okay. So then, and I'll put myself on the hot seat. So I start at the end and then I go back. That's a great way. That exact framework, because most of our journeys don't really make sense. It's not usually linear, right?
Yeah, right.
I know your story. You could say the same thing. I'm sitting here as the chief behavioral officer at Orion and blah, blah, blah. And all this stuff.
RFG, but there's only 2 firms that have a chief behavioral officer, so you got one of them right. Yeah.
Okay, total Freudian slip. My 2 favorite best friends, and I mix your firms. Okay, sitting
Totally
here
fair.
as the chief behavioral officer at RFG, Daniel Crosby, you can use the same intro, okay? Watch the podcast. We'll take you through it. Okay, so at RFG, and now on paper, none of that makes sense, right? Because where my brain had already jumped to was I know your journey actually started on the other side of the table. Right?
Yeah.
So that little framework at the beginning can totally work for many, right? Start with the end and go back. Okay.
And I'm kind of thinking, now I'm just workshopping in my own head, but
Yeah,
there's
let's do
probably
it.
something to be done around, something to be said around, none of this makes sense. Here I am talking about psychology in an industry filled with numbers.
That's right.
And so I'm kind of borrowing from you a little bit, by the way.
Totally.
You're like words
Take
and
it.
numbers, but I'm like, here we are talking about psychology and emotions on an
Ooh, the
industry that's
emotion
built
piece.
on spreadsheets. Right?
Ooh.
So, all right, hang on. I feel like I need to write that. I'm just kidding.
Okay, that's a good one.
So
All right.
that's one. What's
So
another
I'm
beginning?
sitting here at RFG. Daniel will have to do yours later. Okay, we're sitting here at RFG, and none of that makes any sense. And let me take you back, right? So then you go back and blah, blah, blah. Now, at the end, I'm going to give you an alternate option in the beginning, but at the end, this is where you want to tie to the future story of the prospect. Okay? So it's like, here I am sitting here, chief behavioral officer at RFG. None of it makes sense. Go back. And now you're going to take it. You sort of work. Okay. Now you're working back up to present moment. Now I want you to go to future. Why should clients of RFG care? Okay. That's the future story, not your future story, but their future story.
Can you remind me how you did it in your backstory for content?
Yeah. So mine at the end says, I'm something like, I'm proud to lead the team at Havener, where we help investment boutiques tap into the power of story to shape their success, right? Like, we're going to help you go from where you are to where you want to be.
Very nice. Good ending.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can do the same thing. So it's like, you can start at the end. You're going to end at the end. You're going to start at the end and go back. You're going to end at the end, present, and go forward.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So that's option 1.
Okay.
I feel like I'm on a game show. Okay. Option 2.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but
I think it's
this
kind
is
of fun.
great.
I'm loving
it. Yeah,
I didn't know I wanted to be a game show host. I feel like I do now. Okay. Option 2 is you jump right into the messy middle. That's at the beginning. Okay. So that would be something like, I'll go back to the fund manager example. You go into like the messiest middle, like crisis mode. It's 2008. You know, everything is imploding, like financial, all the things, right? And you jump right into the middle. Again, it has to be relevant to your story, but I'm picking that. Let's say that something in that time sparked you starting your own firm and focusing on a different area, like identified an opportunity that you leaned into. Jump right into the mess, the catalyst right before you started your current thing. It could also be like, I've had clients that we've helped with this version, but it's like, I started with this firm. I was the third employee. We had $40 million, jump stop. 10 years later, we had $40 billion and it had changed. And all the things I loved about that place were different. And I had to make a decision about what to do. Like, right? Jump right into the middle, messy middle, and then unpack. And then the ending, you still got to do the future bit. And my last bit of advice on this one, but I'm open to, we can totally work on yours, is what really will make it hit is that you put some emotion around it.
Okay. And how do I do an emotional
in your version?
Gauge? No, just anybody's like, I think if somebody's like, I need emotion around it. I think I have emotion around it. Do I have emotion around it?
Do I have emotion around it? Okay, so let's go back to mine. Okay, so let's clarify what I mean by emotion. I'm not saying you have to go to the raw moment that you the unresolved trauma and pain of your personal journey. I'm not talking about that doesn't have to be the emotion. The emotion we're trying to tap into, you could replace emotion / shared human experience.
Okay.
Something that somebody else can say, I've been there. I know that feeling. I relate to that feeling. So in my example, I go back, the emotion bit, the shared experience bit comes in when I say, blue collar kid, working class town, wrong degree, wrong school. Basically, I feel out of place here.
Uh-huh.
And shared human experience, a lot of people feel out of place.
And by default, by doing that, you immediately filter out all of the narcissists in the world. So you don't have to work with any narcissists who are like, I am not appealed. I do not find underdogs appealing. I am the greatest of all time. And it's everybody wins as a result. Yeah.
If you look at our client base, I've never actually done this quantitative sort of data analysis, but if you look at our client base, I bet a lot of them identify with that part of the story. They either paid their way through school, they didn't go to the fancy college, their parents weren't, Wall Street execs. I bet that thread is there.
Yeah.
I would bet money on it.
That would be really cool to try to track that.
Yeah.
Find that. But it's also one of those things where you go, I bet it's true. We don't have the quantitative data. We could figure it out, but it would just tell us what we most likely
right, because that's an attract and repel story, isn't it?
Right.
I'm not saying that I don't want to work with people who went to Harvard or Oxford or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm happy to. But those people might not identify with me.
Right.
And that's okay.
Right. Yeah. When I think about my backstory or the why story, basically what I'm realizing is it's good. It's like a bee, like a bee to tell the story of how you got to where you are in a way, but the more detail you can provide, it almost feels like the more detail that gives an insight into who you are. So authenticity. So the more detail you provide, the more it resonates emotionally.
Yes.
You could just say, I was an underdog.
Right.
Everything was stacked against me, but I did this, and this.
Yeah.
But you outline why you were.
Yes.
You give detail around why you were an underdog.
Great point. This is a really great point, because I kind of don't believe, where are the receipts?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're telling me that, but you're not showing me that. So I don't believe you. You got to give, prove it sort of thing. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now in your story, if I remember, it's been a long time since you were on the podcast. So I'm going to make this up. It might not be right. But when you were doing sales, if I remember correctly, look, doing sales is a slog. That's a hard job. You are on the road, you are doing all the things, you're grinding. It's not necessarily conducive to having a family. Am I getting this right? Was this part of the journey for you?
Yeah. So I was working with advisors, selling to advisors, traveling a lot. I'm going through as I'm saying this out loud, I'm recognizing that I'm not doing the details thing, just mainly for the sake of time. But
that's okay.
So yes, was on the road traveling quite a bit. I enjoyed working with advisors. Like I genuinely enjoyed that part of the job, but realized that hey, if we're gonna have a family, I don't want to be stuck in a hotel room in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky. No offense to everybody from Kentucky, middle of nowhere, Kentucky. Looking out the window and calling my wife going, hey, how'd the kids' baseball game go tonight? To me, that felt like the worst possible future I could ever imagine. Now, now I'm off on a tangent, but now I coach their baseball team, right? And so it's like this full circle moment. But okay, so I was doing that. And then basically what came from that was one of the cool things, I had the opportunity to meet with over time, hundreds, almost close to thousands of advisors. And so you get a lot of insight from that. You learn a lot about what to do, what not to do. One of the things that would come up time and time again is, Brendan, sometimes I feel like more of a therapist than a financial advisor.
I love all this. This is good.
I wish I had a better degree in psychology than a degree in psychology rather than a degree in finance or accounting or economics. So I would just start asking the curiosity in me, because I'm a curious person, goes, all right, well, what do you do about that? Like, if that's so important and everybody's telling me that it is, what's the plan? Right? You get trained on the numbers. What's the plan? And they would be like, I read a book. And I'd sit there and go, in my mind, I'd think,
there's got to be more.
I don't feel like that's good enough. I don't think that cuts it. So then I decided I'm not going to travel anymore. I wanted to stay in town so I could raise my family. I started working as an advisor at an advisory firm, growing my business. And at the time thought to myself, hey, I want to know how to do this human aspect better. Like, how do I actually build trust and connection with somebody? How do I get them to open up and feel safe and comfortable with me? How do I get them to actually follow through and do the things that the financial plan tells them they're supposed to do, because we know that they don't do it most of the time. And so I went on this journey and thought, I can't be the only one that's wondering this. I bet there are other people that would like to know the answer to this, but they don't know where to find it. So I figured worst case scenario, I'll just research it, learn it, and I can use it myself. Best case scenario, there's other people out there who go, you know what? I really need to know this too. So I start doing my own research, start this podcast, invite some guests on. Daniel Crosby took a leap of faith. He was one of the first people on. So we've had him back on. As I was like, Daniel, I owe you, because there weren't many people listening at the time. And so you should come. Anyways. And so decided I'm just going to use this as a learning platform, see what happens. Fast forward 2-3 years later, and there's people listening around the world, messages saying, Brendan, thank you. This is kind of the stuff that I've been looking for and didn't know where to go to find it. Speaking requests, coaching requests, so on and so on. And that what I need to work on, by the way, is probably part of that, but also how to do the future part.
The future part. This is great. So your homework, you didn't know that you were going to invite me on the podcast and I would assign you homework. Did you know that?
No. Last night, as I was listening to one of your podcasts, I thought to myself, I think we're going to turn this into a live workshop. So yeah.
Yeah. So here we are. Okay. So your homework is to listen to that part again. Okay. And I'm going to challenge you. You get 2 minutes. Okay, you get 2 minutes to tell the story. Okay.
A little too long.
Nope.
Okay.
Maybe it was. It might have actually been around 2 minutes, but you haven't got the future story part yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first pass, I just want you to tell it the way that you did and craft the future story, and then just tell the whole thing. Don't worry about how long it is. It's sort of like get the rough first draft out first. Just okay. But the shared human experience thing for you is the travel and missing out.
Yeah.
Like finding out about your kids' baseball games over the telephone from a hotel room versus coaching the team. That twists my heart. That's real. People will feel that, right?
Okay. You know what's interesting about that though is that it actually, I could tell the story without that, and it almost doesn't change the outcome. To me, it almost feels like it's not 100% relevant to the story. But I guess what you would say is relevant or not, it's still what pulls the emotional heartstrings.
Here's why it's relevant. Because It's the change. It's the reason why you switched.
Oh, without that, I would have never.
Without that, you would still be, selling insurance products to advisors in Kentucky or whatever the heck, right?
Yeah, or whatever the heck. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, great point.
Okay.
Great point.
So, and after you kind of go through it, I see what you're saying though. After you kind of go through it a few times, I think what you could look for is the thread, which you did. When you listen to this, you're going to hear the thread where you said, so, I wanted to be home. I started an advisory. Well, there's a very cool thread that I want you to pull forward, which is what the advisor said. Sometimes I feel like a therapist.
Yeah, like putting it in their words.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
pull
intentional.
That forward.
I worked on that one for a while before I finally got it.
Pull that forward. You became an advisor. You realized you're a therapist. Now you're a therapist too.
Oh, yeah. I can bring that into yes.
And then
I started my business. I sat there and thought, man,
they're right.
I feel that. This is exactly right. I feel I believed it, but now I'm living it.
Now I'm living it, and so now I'm going to get good at it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's good. Yeah. That what is like that. I think as you explained that, I'm like, yeah. Why did I not pull that? But like,
this is it. So it's this.
Yeah.
It's just spitballing with it, and I can't wait to hear. It's going to be fantastic. You're a great storyteller, and it's natural to you. But when you really do this, I love that this turned into a workshop, by the way, and I hope it's helpful. I also think I really can't wait to hear what it's going to look like, because the more times you tell it, the better you're going to get at it. Little nuances you're going to pick in, but just go. This is so good.
So the other thing that I just thought about, because now my mind's churning, going, okay, how can I make this better? Is I make this point, and I said it earlier in a different context, but you realize that we haven't really been taught how to do this. The answers are out there, but it's all in theory. It's not in practice. So I could also say so I'm sitting there living it, right?
I'm living it.
Realize how important this is. I want to learn. I want to figure out how to do it. And what I'm finding is that there are answers, but they exist in literature and research and studies. And all I wanted to know was, when I'm sitting with a client or a prospect, how can I take what's in this dense document and turn it into something applicable that I could use today enhance that, to build trust, to enhance the relationship, to grow my business. And at that point I thought, I need help bridging this gap.
If I need this help, there are other people in this seat that probably need the same help. Love it. Guess what? I don't have 4 or 5 years to go get my PhD in this. I need to know now.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't need, something around, I don't need the theory. I need the practice, because I'm in the seat and I'm doing the thing today.
Yeah. And I'm still an advisor, and I'm having to do financial planning, and I've got a lot of clients, and I don't have time to go master that. I need someone to translate it for me, or package it in a way that I can use it. I need
somebody to nutshell it. I need cut to the chase. This is what you need to do. Here's the theory.
Distill the most important things. Yeah. Okay. All right.
This is gonna be fantastic.
I feel like now what I should do is do this in between middle episode where I'm like, okay, guys, I'm back. For those of you that listen, here is my new backstory.
New story.
Yeah.
Hey, record it and send it to me, and I'll tell you, I'll give you some more feedback. This
is
super fun.
And we'll have you recording we'll have you doing the feedback on it and giving me, okay, all right, this could be good. As we kind of come to the end, because we have to, not because if in an ideal world, we would just keep doing this, but, or that's how I feel. Anyway.
I could do it, I'm,
I know you could
camp out on the story all day long.
Is there, and I almost feel bad just asking it this way, but, is there anything else around storytelling, the power stories, or really anything that we've talked about that you're hey, I feel like we need to put a bow on this. We need to come back to this, tie it up, point this out. Speaking
in nutshells, let's nutshell it. Okay, so look, I think the thing is, this is not easy.
Okay, I like this. This is good because it's just not easy. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you like, we're seeing it live with you. This is not easy. And
with my cringe earlier when I said,
yes,
would it be helpful?
Yeah, and all of it, like there's a lot of awkwardness and there's a lot of vulnerability in it. And that's normal. It's okay. You have to play through it. And owning your story is not something that happens in an hour podcast or in, a week of working on it. You just progress, not perfection with it. Just commit to doing the thing, owning it, practicing, telling it. And when it's not easy, yeah, that's part of it. That means you're doing the work.
I love that we could go a bunch of different paths, but as just say hey, leave with this. It's a really good reminder that it takes work. It's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
You're going to have to hone it. So that when somebody sits down to do it or they tell it for the first time and it doesn't come out, they're like, when I heard the podcast, Stacy made it sound really easy. Yeah. Just know that that's not the likely outcome.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll do the rapid fire 3-pack of questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
If you think you're ready.
I'm ready.
I might even potentially have a bonus 4th question for you.
Wait.
Just stay tuned.
Shoot. Okay. You're going to have to look up an author though. Rapid fire.
I got it. I can do it. There aren't many things that I can do that I can.
That you can do? Good.
Yeah. You get to gift a book to everybody that's listening.
Okay.
What would it be?
I love to read, so this is not an easy question. I'm going to pick one I've not shared before, I don't think. And it's called The Courage to Be Disliked.
Ooh.
Okay?
Yeah,
It's like a title that doesn't really make you want to run and read this. You can put the author in the show notes because I can't. But it's told as it's almost like a parable between a professor and a student. More like an advisor, like wisdom personified, and a student who's trying to learn. And it's all about this journey. How to own your story, how to be brave. It's really good.
If there's one life principle that I 100% accept, embrace, and believe in, and at the same time can't do or figure out how to act, let's talk about the difference between knowing and doing, right?
Yeah.
It would be this idea of you don't want everybody to like you. It's okay to be disliked. Be yourself. Everybody doesn't have to like you. So when you mention the title, I feel it.
Ow.
Viscerally, I'm like, I should read that. I don't want to. I should read that.
No,
I don't want to.
And here's the thing. And it's not it's also not all about the actual being disliked, but there are bits in it that help you understand that when things are actually not your issue.
Oh, kind of
right?
hey, this is their problem, not yours.
Yes, there's that. There's a whole bunch of layers to this. But I think if you're willing to do the work on owning your story, it's a book that will help you get through the tough parts.
Have you read The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins?
I have
kind of
it.
a newer
I
book.
bought it. I have not started it.
It's newer. It's obviously popular right now.
Yeah.
So that's what came to mind as you mentioned it.
I can't wait to read it. I've heard really good things.
I'm guessing that you probably put the pressure to find the author on me due to the fact that I don't even know how I would pronounce these names.
That's also why I outsourced it.
I don't know if I'm even going to try.
Just put it in the show
We'll just link
notes.
to it, and it's called The Courage to Be Disliked, the Japanese phenomenon that shows you how to change your life and achieve real happiness.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. But you're gifting that book to everybody. Now, who is the best listener in your life? And what does that person do so well that makes him such a great listener?
Okay. So I have the pleasure of working with one of my dearest, best friends of 24 years. Her name is Anna.
Okay.
And she is our chief marketing officer. And because we've been friends for so long, and now we work together, she is a fantastic listener. Okay. She's also a fantastic translator of somebody like me who has 18,000 ideas swirling around at all times. Okay. And the thing that she does so well that makes her a great listener is she asks the simple question. right? If I say something and she's like, I don't know what the heck you just said, like you're not making an ounce of sense, she will just pause and say, okay, tell me more. Say that again. Tell me more.
Yeah.
That's her favorite thing to say. Tell me more about that. And
you're like, gladly.
Yeah.
I got this great idea. You want to hear it?
Like, I've come to learn that it's her way of saying I'm not being clear. Like, can I please try again? Right?
Yeah.
But tell me more is her go-to question. And it's simple and it's an invitation. Yeah. She's
to open up and go deeper. Yeah. Do you think Anna would say the same thing about you?
No. No.
At least you guys are best friends still. Yeah.
I ask a lot of questions. What Anna would say about me, like when before we worked together, we would talk for like a half. She lives in California and I live on the East Coast, and so we would talk for we'd catch up for like in a half hour, 45 minutes, and I ask a lot of questions, and then we would hang up, and she'd like call me back and be like, "Wait a minute, I didn't hear anything about what's going on with you."
Oh, yeah. Right.
I'm one of those. Like, I'll get you talking and skate out of there before, like, I get on the hot seat.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So, but you showed genuine interest in her as well. So
I do.
friends. Yeah.
But I don't, I'm learning how to embrace the tell me more.
Yeah, it's not. So whenever I get asked that or get mentioned that, or whenever someone says, tell me more, I'm always like, okay, I stopped because I wasn't.
It makes you think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, I stopped because I didn't know what else to say. Oh, sometimes in a different context, if I'm like in a social event, I stop because I'm not sure if you really actually care, right? So if you say, tell me more, I probably have more to say. And in more intimate settings, if I stopped, it's probably because I feel like I've emptied it out. Yeah, but tell me more is still helpful to make me go to the next level. Like,
it
go
makes
a little bit deeper.
Yes, and it's their way of saying I'm not sure I follow.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Without saying you didn't make sense.
Without them saying I'm not following.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get to hang a poster on the wall around the world, but everybody that's listening, what would it say?
Own your story.
Own your story. 3 words.
That's it.
That's all you need.
Own it. Because if you don't, somebody else will. And that is a heartbreak to me.
Does that mean like own it in terms of own it, embrace it, be authentic,
own it,
don't be ashamed of it?
Write the next chapter. Own it, live it, all the things. Own it, past. Own it, forward.
Own it, past, own it, forward. Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
nice.
right?
Yeah,
own it in all the ways. Like, because I think the heartbreak for me, and this happens to me, it happens to many of us, is that we wake up one day and realize we're living someone else's story.
But if you read The Courage to Be Disliked,
you can start working on that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. One last question.
Yeah.
I'm hesitate a little bit. We can make this quick, but you've built a brand and have been authentic and created a following on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You put a lot of content out there on LinkedIn. You also now have content about how to do LinkedIn. People ask you questions, so on and so forth. So I just have one question.
Yeah.
If I'm posting without posting a picture to go with it, am I wasting my time? Because I can't find one of yours that doesn't have a picture.
I do. I always have
a video
picture
with it.
I do. So that is sort of my favorite way of posting, is to include some sort of an image. And there's human behavior behind that. However, there are people who are very, very successful in their careers, on LinkedIn, all the things, who do text-only posts. So you are not wasting your time. I think part of it is this. It's like finding your voice and finding your style.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, because I've always, not always, but for most of my time on LinkedIn, I've included visuals and sort of that's been part of my style. If I all of a sudden switched to text, that would be an adjustment for the people who are used to seeing me show up a certain way.
They'd
However,
be like, Stacy, we miss you. Where'd you go?
Where'd you go?
Are you drinking your coffee?
How's your hair looking? Haven't seen you in a while. Like, what's going on? Right? Like, so that would be like not what they were expecting.
Right.
Now, if I stayed as just text for a while, maybe that would become my new style.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
okay.
I think you could totally, there are very successful, my friend Amy Volas does not always post pictures on LinkedIn. She's a founder of a recruiting agency. She's fantastic. She's got probably 70,000 followers on LinkedIn, and a lot of her posts are text only. So I think you can, if you can do that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, so for anybody that's sitting there wondering or thinking to themselves, I need more. This has been great. I want more. I want to join the Stacy Havener fan club.
Yes.
Where can they go? What should they do?
LinkedIn is a great, that was a perfect segue. That is my platform of choice. I hang out on LinkedIn. I'm not having a great week this week in terms of consistency, just have other stuff going on, but I typically post every day. And it's been game changing for me, not just from a business perspective, but also from a friendship perspective. In the last few years, I have made some fantastic friends on LinkedIn, like through LinkedIn, that are friends in real life.
Yeah.
And so I encourage you, even if you don't want to post, like, come hang out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's awesome. That's great. Well, Stacy, this has been great. Keep up the awesome work. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me on. And thank you for letting me push you to get outside your comfort zone. You did a fantastic job.
I appreciated it. I actually secretly wanted it.
Yeah, you did awesome. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security or engage in any specific trading strategy. Results will vary. Past performance is no indication of future results or success. Market conditions change continuously. This commentary reflects the personal opinions, viewpoints, and analyses of the guest. It does not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, their clients, or their employees. The commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by the guest or RFG Advisory or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change anytime without notice. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory, a registered investment advisor. The guest and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place.